What does Europe have that North America does not? Wild hedgehogs. The best part about having insomnia in late summer is hanging out in the garden and suddenly hearing noises you'd expect from the depth of hell, before a cabbage-sized spiky guy scuttles out from the bushes on his hunt for slugs. The noises hedgehogs make are unreal. I once had a late night and took the dog out for a walk around 1 to 2 a.m., and this happened to us 5 times on the walk at completely different locations. Was terrifying each time because of how dark it was. No one to this day really believes I saw 5 hedgehogs on one walk, which is impressive in itself. And possums. Once I ran into an opossum on my enclosed porch. It played dead. I picked it up with a hockey stick and placed it in the yard. I get this is not that interesting of a story, but it's like a core memory of mine. Explosive ordnance hiding under rocks, inside trees, buried just under the surface. Every few years you hear about someone in Europe finding a grenade or a bomb with sometimes disastrous, sometimes hilarious results. Edit. This comment seems to have been a little misleading. While news items related to UXO make it from Europe to the US every year or two, it is being found on an almost daily basis. Usually it is disposed of without incident. Second edit. Of course it happens in the US too. But for the most part it is near military bases or military training sites and poses a smaller danger to the public. In Europe it's everywhere, left over from 2 world wars and several smaller, more recent ones, plus nobody knows where most of it is. As several responses have stated, in Europe you can find UXO just digging in your backyard. In 99.9% of North America this is not the case. Unexploded ordnance from 2 world wars. I think America has at least 2 unexploded atomic bombs that the government couldn't find after they were lost in a plane crash. There are over 15 lost nukes all over the world. This is super fucked up. And we don't know how many the Soviets lost. Boobs and shampoo commercials. In England they have a dating show called Naked Attraction where they show full male and female nudity. And discuss the merits of a lady's labia, or the attractiveness of a gent's ball sack. Peak television right here. Whilst it's obviously a voyeuristic show meant to attract people by virtue of showing a load of naked people on the telly, on the other hand, it somehow manages to feel more genuine and less exploitative in tone than most reality TV, even the stuff we tend to see in the UK, let alone the US stuff. It's pretty inclusive of all kinds of people on the show, which is nice. They throw in some little educational segments about sexual subjects now and again, complete with informative little animations. It goes some way towards normalizing nakedness and making people feel comfortable with the human form, which can only be a good thing. In a world where Hollywood can show graphic violence but hardly dares show a nipple, there's something nice about entertainment that's about titillation rather than conflict. Tons of really old buildings. Castles. Edit. Apparently I haven't traveled to the castles in NA. My bad. Thanks everyone though. You are giving me something to my mind off of the indoor water park that quickly developed in my house. Drop the name of where the castles are and I'll add it to my list. Gotta go shop vac some more water out of my house. Dragons? Dungeons. Edit. Y'all, it was a joke. Europe pays their service staff and don't expect the public to pay their wages, or for their staff to rely on tips. Some states, California for example, pay their service staff at least minimum wage and the staff also gets tipped. We had a server recently who is a college grad and said he didn't want to leave his service job because it paid better than a job he could get with his degree. Definitely, I'm from the UK and moved to Toronto for a bit and worked in a high-end restaurant as a busboy. I made minimum wage as well as weekly tips. I was making around $4,000 plus a month as a busboy. The servers made a lot more as they took more of the tips, as they should. We were all young, either doing degrees or doing other stuff outside of the service industry. But I found that you could easily make a comfortable living in the service industry. In the UK you don't make anything near that amount. I've never really understood the comparison to be honest, but I guess not everyone works in high-end restaurants either. An effective train system. More like an effective public transportation system. More like public transportation system. Foreskin. This American woman I talked to on IRC back in the 90s asked me if she could see my foreskin over net meeting. I obliged because why not? She was absolutely fascinated by it because she'd never seen one before despite having had several partners. The ability to say cunt and not have people act like you've just shit in the middle of their house. I was in Bali for my honeymoon. One night we found ourselves on the same table as two middle-aged couples from Australia. English not being my first language, I navigated the conversation somewhat alright until I slipped the word fuck. They immediately went, "Ah, here we are!" and started swearing like sailors XD. I had opened the floodgates. So apparently every nation that is not the US likes swearing. Aussies swear enough to make sailors blush. "He's a cunt," and "he's a good cunt," are exactly opposite in meaning. I'm fairly sure it's been used in an Aussie parliament too. So it's on Hansard record. Tax inclusion in prices. I still don't understand that about American stores. Edit. Thank you for all the replies and explanations. Conclusion. Government bad? Also screw Coles apparently lol. My wife and I went to Greece/Italy for our honeymoon, and I loved it. You see something that's $20 and that's what it is. You don't have to worry about figuring out the tax, it's not hard, but it's annoying. Bathroom stalls you can't see directly into. Never understood why American stalls are like this. Now, when I was a small child in Australia there were paid toilets in the train stations. Hence the old ditty. Here I sit broken-hearted, paid a penny and only farted. In Europe there's a gate silhouette cutout where children can go through for free. The Matterhorn. What are you talking about? That's my favorite ride at Disneyland. Multi-opening windows. In addition to the windows, I wish we had those rolling metal shutters like they have in Germany. Reladen I think they're called. Great for sleeping during the day, watching movies, zombie uprisings, etc. You eat the Reladen. Use the Rolladen to prevent your neighbor from seeing you eating them every day. Edit. Can now afford more letters.